Hey everyone, Fido here. Welcome to the Auto Layout Crash Course. Stay with me, you're going to learn all you need to know about Auto Layout and its unique features as it pertains to components. Today you're going to be looking at few components like the button, the nav bar, the text, and the card, and also Auto Layout application to a website in general. Excited, right? Yeah. Before we proceed, please click on the subscribe button to subscribe to my channel and let's dive in. Welcome back, guys. Let's dive into the business of the day. Today we are looking at auto layouts and all the features and how uniquely you can add it to your design. A simple definition of auto layout is happy, even though auto layout may not have any specific definition. We have auto layout is a property you can add to a frame or a component, and it lets you create design to grow to fill or shrink to fit and reflow as their contents change. This is great when you need to add new layers, accommodate longer text strings, or maintain alignment as your design evolves. We'll be looking at the features of auto layout as it grows to fill, shrink to fit, and reflow as a content change, and other features I've shown you at the beginning of this video. There are a few ways you can add auto layout to your design. The first is by using the shortcut. The second is by right clicking on your mouse to bring down this menu and you simply add auto layout. You can see the shortcut Shift plus A. Now you successfully add auto layout to your content. Now the next way is the use of the shortcut. I'll be looking at that now. Let's quickly undo this auto layout. You may not find auto layout on your toolbar until you hold down a content. Now, when you hold down a content, you see this layer on the toolbar versus layout. And to convert it to auto layout, you have to add auto layout. Now, let's hold down Shift plus A. Now we've added auto layout. We've seen the bar as auto layout. With the unique features of auto layout, we are going to be looking at soon. To remove auto layout, you have this icon on your, or you have the shortcut which is alternate plus shift plus A on the Windows, and on Mac you have option plus shift plus A. I'm going to come back to this secret code. Now let's add auto layout to this remove auto layout feature, and when we remove auto layout using the alt plus shift plus A, it converts the original frame which has auto layout into frame. It does not remove the frame completely. That is where the secret code comes in. We use the secret code also to ungroup content, and if you know the secret code, it's Control plus Shift plus G. Now it removes both auto layout and frames. It also removes grouping. Like if we are to group this secret code using Command plus G or Control plus G on your Windows, Command plus G on your Mac. Now we have this group one showing that this content is a group. To ungroup it, you hold down your Command on your Mac or Control on your Windows plus Shift plus G. You successfully ungroup. So this layer we have auto layout. To remove auto layout and remove the frame, you hold down Command on your Mac or Control on your Windows plus Shift plus G. Now we remove both frame and auto layout. We are back to the first content we have. Okay, let's go on. We have the types of auto layouts. We have the vertical auto layout, the horizontal, and the warp. The warp feature is a new feature on Figma. We are going to be looking at that. So We have the vertical, which is this feature down here, vertical layout. When auto layout have been added to a frame or a component, this is a vertical form. You can easily change to the horizontal form by clicking on this horizontal link or change to the vertical. Now we have the horizontal. You can easily change to the vertical or horizontal. Now, WAP is a new feature of auto layout in Figma. We are going to be looking at WAP as we move on in this tutorial. We are going to be looking at auto layouts as it applies to components, as it applies to buttons that we have here. We're going to be looking at these features under buttons. We're going to be looking at creating a quick frame, green feature of auto layout, and padding as it applies to buttons. Now, this button says button, and this one says this button grows. To create a frame, you need to click on the F key on your keyboard and draw the frame. Or let's undo that backspace. Or you can come back to this navbar here where you have frame and click on it to draw your frame. The quickest way to create a frame is by adding auto layout to it. Now let's do that quickly. Let's say you're designing for a mobile and you want to create a button. The quickest way to add button to your design is by first creating the text. And to create the text, you need to tap on the T key on your keyboard and click on it with create text. Or you can come down to the T on the toolbar here and click on it to create text. Now you type button. Now we have the button text here. To make this a button, you add auto layout to it. Shift plus A. Now we've added auto layout feature on this text. Now we can simply convert this to this by using these features we have here. We've looked at creating a quick frame feature of auto layout by adding auto layout to this text and creating a frame around it. Yeah, you can see the frame here, frame 81. Now it shows that this button or this text we have here has a frame on it. You already know how to remove the auto layout in case you want just the frame and not auto layout added to the frame. Let's quickly do that. Alternate Shift plus A. Now we have just a frame that has no auto layout to it. And to add the auto layout bar, we just hold down Shift plus A and auto layout feature comes back to this button. Now let's convert this button to this using the padding feature of auto layout. Here we have the length and width of this button to be 254 by 16. We can simply add this to the width of the auto layout to 64 and we go to the height and we add 60. Now we have a button as large as this and as tall as this. Now let's add the color feature. Go over to the toolbar here, design bar here. We have plus. Now let's add the text color to white. And there you go. We have our button. To create a button that grows, see why I say this button grows. If I am to remove this, the button shrinks. And if I type in this button grows. Now you see the button grows. To simply create this special effect of a growing button on auto layout, first we have our text. You tap on the T key on your keyboard or the T key on your toolbar here and type button. Let's start with button. Now let's add auto layout to this auto layout. Shift plus A. Now we've created this. To add the growing effect of auto layout to this button to make it look like this, we don't need to add a specific width to this button or a specific height. We only need to use the padding. Originally, we have the height and width of this button to be hog 254 for the length, for the width, and the height as 16. Now we're going to be adding that using padding. We have 44 here for the height, and we have this vertical padding. You can see as I increase the paddings, the button grows over in the side. Now this button is 58. We need to make this 18. You see, these paddings have the up side of the padding, the lower side of the padding, the left side of the padding, and the right padding. If I want to have padding for just the top side of the button, I need to add padding just to the top, or just to the bottom, just to the left, or just to the right of our button. But let's continue with our button. We have button height of 60. We have 58 here. Let's go back. Add, make this 18. Now we have our height of 60. From the button we are trying to create, we have the horizontal padding as 40. We can just simply add that feature to our padding here to make this 40. Now, before we create a button that grows, which we have already created, let us convert this button color to what we have here. Now we can say this button grows, grows. Yeah. So we have our button growing and our button that does not grow. On buttons, we looked at the creating a quick frame, growing feature, and paddings. In paddings, we have the vertical paddings and the horizontal paddings, and we can simply add paddings to only the vertical side of our design or the horizontal side of our design or the left and the right side of our design for the top and bottom side of our design. Now let's move over to the next feature of auto layouts, which is adding auto layout in navigation. Here we'll be looking at the alignment and spacing features of auto layout. I already have a nav bar here which I created for this landing page you see over here. We have home, about, service, our rooms, explore, contact us. Let's say you have a couple of texts and you want to align them so fast. Auto layout helps us align them too fast. Okay, let's create text. Let's say home. Let's duplicate this. And to duplicate this, I'm holding Alt on my keyboard and dragging with my mouse. Let's call this about. Or you know what? Let me duplicate. Okay, let me call this services. Let me duplicate this as Ctrl D for duplicating and just duplicate this a couple of times. Now you can see the couple of texts I have here does not align. Now to make them align, you can just hold all of them and add auto layouts. Voila. Auto layout feature does not only align them, it creates this spacing between them and give them equal spacing. To add spacing or remove spacing, you have this special effect of auto layout here, this 27. It shows that the spacing between this items I have here is 27. I can increase the spacing or reduce the spacing as we have on this frame. That's pretty easy, right? Yes, I know. Now let's look at the next feature of auto layout, which is auto layout on text. In auto layout on text, we'll be looking at the fixed width feature of auto layout, the hog feature of auto layout, view container, minimum, maximum width, minimum, maximum height of auto layout. Now we're using this text I have here, which says I create brand identity and digital products. For individuals and organizations, I create enjoyable and memorable user experience with expertise and skillfulness. Yeah, this is part of my resume. So let's move on. In auto layout, we have the fixed width, the whole content, add minimum width, add maximum width. And when we come to height, we have fixed height. Oh, I did not include that here. I'll include it immediately. Whole content as pertaining to height, add minimum height, add maximum height. Okay. Okay. We'll be using this text we have here. For instance, I say, let me increase this text. You see, it responds. Now, if you notice, I don't have auto layout on this text I have here, and it also responds to the increase and decrease of the width, and you get. This is possible because we have auto height feature on this text. If we have this feature on the text, it makes this text expand throughout. That's auto width. Now let's remove that by undoing it. That's Ctrl plus Z on the keyboard. Now let's add auto layout to this text. Auto layout added. We have content, hog width, and hog height, which is the auto width and auto height we already have with the text initially. Now I want to add effect of a fixed width. We have fixed width of 327 here because that's the initial width of this text before we added auto layout to it. Now I want to add a couple of features on this text we have here. Now, if I increase this frame, you can see the text within the frame does not increase because the text have a fixed width of 307 and it is set to fixed width. Now, if I increase the text within this frame, it increases to suit the frame. Now, what we want to do is to make the text increase as we increase the frame, right? Now, let's undo that. And we have our original text, which is set to 307 width. Now, I want to make that text to fill container, which is the fill container feature we have here. Now, if I increase the container, which is the frame of this text, you can see the text increases with the container we have. That is for the fill container. We've looked at the fixed width. We looked at the fill container. Let's look at the maximum width and minimum width. Now let's set a minimum width of 300 pixels on this frame. Now what it means is we increase this frame, the text increases to suit the frame. Now when we reduce the frame, it does not pass the limit of 300, no matter how you want to drag it. But when you increase it, fits. When we reduce it, does not pass the minimum width of 300. Now this is very useful when you're creating a responsive website, a website for mobile and larger screens. Now we fix the width of the frame of the mobile not to pass the particular width you want it to pass. Now you can add maximum width also and say it should not pass maximum width of 600. Now we have minimum width of 300 and a maximum width of 600. Now this text grows till it gets to 600 and it grows no further. And it shrinks till it gets to 300 and it shrinks no further. We can also add minimum height, maximum height, probably not to text, or we can add, let's add it to the text. Now we have the text as hug initially. Now let's add a minimum height of this text. Now it's going to be chaotic because we have minimum maximum width already set to this text, to this frame. Let's have a minimum height of say 200. Sorry, 200. And which is the already minimum height of this. You see what we have here? The frame no longer hugs the content we have. It's already set to this fixed height of 200 pixels. It can increase when it passes 200, but in this case, it can increase no further because we have a minimum width set for this frame, which is 300 for minimum. Now, let's remove that minimum width of 300. Now we have just the maximum width. Now, the frame can increase more because we remove the constraints or the restriction for the minimum width. But when it gets to 200 height pixels, it can increase no further. Pretty cool, right? So you can use this feature to adjust your screens for mobile, for larger screens like your laptop, your iPad, and your desktop computers. Now let's move over to the next feature, which is adding auto layout with cards. Now this is the last feature we're going to be looking at, wrapping and distribution feature. Now distribution feature is not new. It has been there, but I don't think people use it more often. I use it for this little icon I have here, which is this plus icon here, and I'll be showing you why I used it. Now for the warping, which I said is the new effect on the new feature on Figma, we have warp here. Now I've added warp to this card, simple card of me I have here. Yeah, this is me, my smiley face. And if I increase this text, this card, you see, everything within it increases and the text also adjusts to fit the frame. And if I reduce this card, everything adjusts to fit the frame. Now I can add other features of minimum, maximum height, minimum width, fixed width, and other to this card to restrict some. Yeah. Okay, let me show you what is going on in here. I have auto layouts within this frame. I have auto layout here. Within these two texts, I have auto layouts to to space them equally. Then after grouping these two texts, and I have this heart icon here, I also added auto layout to group them together so I can space them evenly when I want to. Now the first auto layout feature is to group these two texts together. Then the second auto layout feature added to this frame to this. Then the third auto layout feature I have here is adding this frame that I've grouped together to this one, which is describing what I do. Now, the fourth auto layout is adding all this frame, holding them together with this button. The fifth auto layout is having this card distribution of me with this. image of me. That is the final auto layout frame I have here. So auto layout is pretty cool when it has to deal with many features. Have to just group them together to hold your content together, not to spoil anything. Let everything be aligned just the way you want them to be aligned. Now the fill feature is set to all the content we have here, and the parent feature. Now we have a frame within this frame. This is the frame that is grouping this content and this content together, which is my image and my description. Then I have the outer frame, which is set to wrap to show us the wrapping feature. The frame holding this content together is set to fill container, while the outer frame is set to wrap. Now, when increasing the scene, you see it increases and decreases. Now, let me show you what the WAP 2 does also. Let's create a quick button. And let's set test center. Okay, let's say we have a quick button right here and we want to duplicate this button into multiple places. Now, adding auto layout to a couple of buttons that are set to horizontal and vertical axis gives them this warp feature instantly. Now, warp feature is added to features that are vertical and horizontal at the same time. Vertical layout add auto layout to content that are vertical. Horizontal layout add auto layout to content that are horizontal. But the WAP add auto layout to both content that are vertical and horizontal at the same time. Now, if we shrink this, we have the button, we have the frame fit to just the vertical axis. Now, if we expand this, you see the frame increases. Let's keep expanding. It also fits the warp tool. And as we keep going on, now the warp tool helps us have control over content that are both horizontal and vertical at the same time. Pretty cool, right? Okay, for the last feature that I'll be showing you today, which is the distribution feature, let me just close this. Now let's go over here, which is the distribution feature I have here for this icon plus icon. Um, Let me duplicate this. Now, if we want to add an icon to a frame that has auto layout, or you want to add anything into a frame that has auto layout, automatically it takes its own space in the frame with auto layout. Now, the distribution feature helps us to be able to place this icon anywhere in our design without disturbing the auto layout we have. And we can find this distribution feature up here in the position. It says ignore auto layouts. It tells this frame here to ignore the auto layout we have in this auto layout frame. Now, when we click on it, our frame goes back to the original form it is. Now we can easily add this button or this icon to any part of our frame without disturbing the auto layout feature. Now, when we remove it, it goes back. So guys, that brings us to the end of auto layout features. Now, let me show you a quick landing page I created for Sonnet. Auto layouts are very nice because it helps us interchange things on anywhere we have auto layout. Now, I have auto layout within this frame, and this. I had auto layout in this frame within this text and this button and this. So it helps us to interchange things. Within this button or layout, I can change this button easily by just tapping the arrow keys on my keyboard to change the placement of the buttons or the text or anywhere I want them to be. I can easily change them. Now I want this text or this image to come to the left hand side of the website. I can just, because I have auto layout feature already embedded in this frame, I can just use my left arrow to interchange the positions of all the layout. I can interchange the position of all these features because I have auto layouts embedded in them. So easy, so easy. Auto layout make life so easy when it comes to designing. Now, I don't want to have services before our rooms. I want to have our room before services. I can just change that or put services at the end. Auto layouts are very nice. Okay, guys, that brings us to the end of today's class on auto layout. If you find this tutorial helpful, I think that should be worth a subscribe. Please support me by subscribing to my channel, leave a like and a comment, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.